I am going to tell you about the coolest cat-themed event that I recently attended. If you are a cat owner or lover, just like I am, you have to hear about this. CatFest 2022, and it was the first annual cat festival hosted by a company called Dana Kane Events, which is known for creating these like award-winning, really fun themed festivals. Apparently they've done them in the past for unicorns, for chocolate, for like toys and vintage things. So this was their first foray into the cat world. It was held November 13th in Denver, and it was, I would honestly describe it as like a big consumer trade show, meaning it was for cat owners and lovers and just cat people, and there was just such a wide variety of things to do and things to see. I honestly think this quote from Dana Kane Events' website really summed up the experience there pretty well, so I'm going to share it with you. Our goal is to remind people that the world can be a beautiful, magical, fun place. We create environments where people can go to immerse themselves in their favorite things. It is definitely no secret that cats are among my favorite things in the world. I am a cat owner and lover. I have a Siamese, a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old Siamese ragdoll named Katniss. I rescued her as a kitten. She's on Instagram if you want to follow her. I am a moderator for the site on Instagram, Meowstagram, and we just feature really cool photos and videos from cats all over the world. I am a cat sitter for Meowtel, so I kind of do that on the side right now, kind of debating turning it into a fuller time thing. And little known fact, I run a Twitter account called Coors Field Cat, which basically follows the events and adventures of the cats that live at Coors Field, which is the home of the Colorado Rockies, my favorite team. And so I pretty much immerse myself in cats daily. This festival was a no-brainer for me, and I'm so excited to tell you what I saw. So when you walked in the door, they gave everybody what they called a program, which detailed everything there. But before I get into this, I want to tell you just a few first impressions. So just immediately some things that stood out would be, number one, it was super, super crowded. Now granted, I got there earlier in the day, and this was a relatively short period of time this was held, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. on one day. So it was crowded. It immediately stood out that people had brought their cats to attend this event with them. So you'd walk around the floor and you'd see cats on people's shoulders, or them just kind of carrying them around, or even just, kind of chilling in the corner. I had actually checked into this prior, and they did tell me that you were welcome to bring your cat, needed to be up to date on shots. Miss Katniss, I honestly don't even know if they checked that at the door, but I know that Miss Katniss, she was 3 days overdue. I was having trouble getting her into her vet, so she was unfortunately not eligible to attend, but I did see plenty. It was really cute. I also saw a lot of people in really elaborate costumes, which that immediately stood out, and I was like, oh wow, I kind of underdressed for this. One of the first things I ran into was this guy who was literally head to toe, very elaborate tiger costume. And so I was like, okay, that was really eye-catching. And then another memorable one, there were 3 women, and to me, honestly, when I saw them, I thought Little Bo Peep, but they told me it was a Japanese style of street dressing that was really popular. And then, honestly, probably my favorite out of every costume I saw that day was the crazy Catwoman. So she had created a costume with a robe and sewn cats all over it, and she was really fun. But really just the spirit definitely stood out of anyone dressed up, and everybody excited to be there. And then I saw a few people walking around with papers on the back of their shirts that were advertising cats that I believe they were probably breeders, and they were letting people know what they had available. So I didn't see a lot of that, but there were a few. So I honestly kind of thought that was somewhat creative. And then this was just amidst just a ton of booths, activities, and things that we are about to get into. So let's talk about what was on the program. So I'm just gonna run through it literally from front to back. So when it opened, one of the first things on here is a breed meet and greet with the Norwegian forest cat. And there were multiple breed meet and greets throughout the day, and I honestly don't know what they entailed. Yeah, see what I did there. I did not attend them, but the breed meet and greets were the Norwegian forest cat was the first one. A little bit later, they had the Maine Coon, and then a little bit after that, the Sphinx. So I assume this was a chance where we just got to see the breed, interact with the breed, ask questions about the breed. And then also one of the earliest things there up on this main stage where they had a lot of performances, they had the Fantasy Feline Dance Troupe. And basically what this was, or at least what it appeared to be, is just a ton of different people dressed in various cat costumes and like kind of dancing and performing to music from famous TV shows or just cat themed music. So I do remember the Pink Panther song was one of them. But they would just, it was kind of a continuous thing. There were chairs set up, you could kind of sit, chill, watch, come and go at your leisure. Honestly, it was really like the spirit got me in a good mood. So following that were a series of what I would call like educational sessions. So the first one was the history of cat deities. And then they had a What Color is My Cat, which was basically a series where they explained different cat color and variations. And then a little bit later in the day, they had a cat trivia bowl where it was like test your knowledge for all the fun facts about cats. And so if you wanted to, you could, educate yourself on a variety of topics or compete in the trivia bowl. So one of the really touching things was the Mr. Marbles Q&A. So Mr. Marbles was one of the guests. They had multiple celebrity guest cats there who I met and we'll talk about. Mr. Marbles was probably the most popular in terms of well followed online and just well known. And his owner was there with him and he did a Q&A where he answered just a variety of audience questions. One stood out and so I'm gonna play it for you and then I'm gonna tell you kind of my take.
But I've been a long time Bub fan, and Bub helped me through a really dark place in life. When I found her page, I was going through some real hard stuff, really, really sad. I have cats as well. It meant the world to me, and man, I reached out to you one day to Bub's profile, and I actually got a response back, and it was the first time any page had ever done that to me. And that was years ago. That was back, 2018, 17 or something. Love Bub. When she died, I was at work that day. And it broke me down too, man. I had to take a break and go walk away from work just to cry it out. But honestly, I'm so glad to see that you got another cat and you keep the good work going. It means a lot to me, man, and I'm always going to be a fan. And just thank you for putting this together. It's great.
I appreciate that. You have no idea. What's your name, buddy?
My name is Brandon, man.
Brandon, thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I responded. And to anyone I didn't respond to, I'm so sorry.
So I found that really touching. So I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm a moderator on the site Meowstagram. My cat has an Instagram presence. I've actually connected with some amazing people and cats online that have provided support for me through difficult times in my life. And so I can completely relate to what this man is saying about just how touching it was to receive a response and to just feel like somebody was there and to make that connection. To me, it serves as a great reminder that what you're doing online, if you have any type of online presence and the people you're connecting with, it serves just a deeper purpose than just sharing a cute photo or video. I mean, the connections you make are real. You have no idea how just a kind word or gesture or comment on their photo may make their day. And so not to discount how that environment can be so much more than it appears on the surface and just how meaningful it can be to some people. There was also an opportunity to ask a vet. There was a booth set up with a veterinarian and you could go up and ask him any question you wanted. And for me personally, this was something that I took advantage of. It's a long, long story, but I had a very difficult experience with a previous cat and severe aggression that ended tragically. I actually made a video about it, so if you're interested, I will link it below. But one of the things I talk about in that video is after the tragic ending, I actually spent a good deal of time going to veterinarians around the area and kind of running the scenario by them, showing them the pictures and videos I had, telling them the story and getting their professional feedback as to one, the situation, and two, how it was handled. And I really didn't expect there to be a vet there. I didn't anticipate telling this story that day, but the fact that he was there and the fact that I had that opportunity and I got some additional insight was super touching. And while we're on the topic of my prior cat, Maddie, and her name was Maddie, and the aggression issues, one thing that I found extremely touching about the show is they had a room, and it included both tarot card and kind of like fortune teller readers. I believe they were cat themed, but really there was a memory wall. And the memory wall was created so you could write a note to or even hang a picture of any cat, that had passed that meant something to you. And I know this was largely symbolic, but I wrote on that wall a message not only to Maddie, but to two other cats that I've had in my life. Isabel, who died of bladder cancer. She was like my first cat out of college in the real world. And Beauty, who was an elderly cat who I adopted while in college. She did not live, unfortunately, all that long, but I was blessed to be able to give her a wonderful home for a while. Leaving those messages touched my heart in a way that's really hard to vocalize, and I really appreciate the opportunity to do so. So this is the part where the costume contest comes into play. So the costume contest was undoubtedly one of the highlights. On the main stage, they had a costume contest for adults, children, and cats. And basically, anybody dressed up, which this explains why I saw some people dressed up earlier, could go up on the stage, take a little walk past the judges table, and then, the audience would applaud. And then they selected a winner in each category for, I believe, best in show, top winner and then runner up, and then a best in show overall. And those people were awarded cat cash, which was something that you could spend specifically at the event, so on merch, etc. there. But it was just so much fun to see people's creativity, and oh my gosh, some of the cats, what good sports. And then later we saw some of the contestants just kind of chilling by themselves, after a long day. Kudos to everyone who participated. So I mentioned celebrity guest cats, and I told you about Mr. Marbles and the Q&A. There were also a couple of others that I had the pleasure of meeting. One was Pluto, that cat Pluto. And Pluto, when I met him, he was kind of at the end of his day, so he was just kind of chilling in the back, super, super friendly, loved his owners. You can follow that cat Pluto on Instagram. And then I met Denali the Adventure Cat, and this was a really cool experience because Denali the Adventure Cat has a talent. For a donation of $5, which all went to a great cause, he would give you a high five and a fist bump. And I thought it was the coolest thing. So of course I had to do the high five and fist bump with my buddy Denali. And then a little bit later, I noticed that Denali, who was such a good sport too, his owner was holding this adorable 4-week-old kitten, and Denali, I think, started to get a little bit jealous. Who can blame him, honestly, because the kitten was getting a lot of attention. But it's just a really fun time to meet them and to hear about all his adventures. You can follow him on Instagram too. Tons of fun pictures there. So the celebrity guest cats were awesome, and I'm glad to have a couple of new friends. In terms of education, just one other thing is Denali's owner gave a seminar or kind of a session on training your adventure cat. And then also I should have thrown in that there was actually a 4th breed meet and greet much later in the day for the British Shorthair. In addition to all the performances and events, etc., there were just a ton of activities to do. First of all, there was a snack bar, and then there was also the Cat Video Cafe. And they had really cool cat-themed drinks, the Meow Mosa, the Meowgarita, the Mr. Marbles, I think it was called Mr. Marbles Cat Tails. So that was awesome if you wanted to go relax, enjoy a cat-themed drink. They had a DJ Rockstar Aaron, who was elaborately decked out, playing your favorite tunes. There was a cat on the table that I thought was real. Not honestly even sure if I knew it was real. Kind of looked real from a distance. I remember that they had face painting, and they had a station where you could sit down and honestly just yourself, or if you brought your cat, and this character guy would do drawings of you. They had a ton of items for sale, so a retail component of this. There were t-shirts, there were, custom designed cat beds, there were little gifts, there was just a ton of stuff, so I think the creation stations were one of my favorite things in terms of what to do. So there were 4 of them. So one thing you could do is create jewelry that, a bracelet with your cat's name on it or a bracelet with cat charms. Another thing that you could create was a cat themed face mask. A third station was coloring books and coloring pages, almost like a coloring contest of cat things that was really popular with the kids. And then probably the most popular one, and the one I thought had the most practicality, was the cat toy creation station. So you could create your own feather wand or cat toy to bring home. So with that, you actually left with something kind of a souvenir / just item that your cat could enjoy with you. Beyond just all the activities too, there was a component of this where there were not only just a ton of rescues there, and they were actively doing on-site adoptions. So a lot of the rescues had brought cats with them, and you could interact, or you could put in an application, or you could learn more about what they stand for. But there was also a formal cat show going on at the same time in a different room. Now, to be honest with you, I didn't go to the cat show. My cat does not compete in cat shows, and I've just kind of learned from experience that a lot of times people there don't necessarily want strangers coming up and interacting with their cats when they're trying to keep their cats calm and the coat shiny before they show to the judges. So I've just kind of learned it's not the best place for interaction, so I didn't go there much, but I did see, I've seen this woman before at a different cat event. I call her the Toiger lady. Her cats are mini tigers, or they're called Toigers, and she's super friendly, and she lets people interact with the cats, happy to answer questions. So it was a pleasure to see them again, and I just thought, I think the breed is awesome. So if you didn't know, there is such thing as a Toiger, which is a mini tiger cat. And as I mentioned prior, there were a lot of rescues there. And I'm going to give a shout out to a couple that really stood out to me, although I want to preface this by stating that they all really stand out to me in the sense that cat rescue is something I truly believe in. I actually do help care for a feral colony. It's the same colony that Katniss came from. I do that informally. I'm not a trained feral cat rescuer, but, you know, in so much as me buying some food, bringing it up there, assisting the guy who feeds them daily with, you know, driving to vet appointments, etc. helps. That's what I do. And so I have gotten to know of a lot of rescues. I have a special place in my heart for all of them. So it's impossible to run through the whole list because there were many, but I'm not trying to discount any of the others by stating that these two really stood out. So the first one is called the Grey Muzzle Society, and essentially they're a senior pet rescue, and they just dedicate themselves to making sure that maybe some of the pets that would be less desirable to the masses live the rest of their days in comfort and surrounded by love. So I thought that was extremely touching. As I mentioned, my cat in college, Beauty, was a senior cat when I adopted her, and I took her in just because she won my heart the first time I ever met her. So this is a cause that, I mean, really kudos to them. So the second one that really stood out is called Positive Recovery, and essentially they are a rescue that provides temporary fostering to people who are struggling with addiction or other serious issues and need a place for their pet to stay, like maybe when they go into rehab or just temporarily. I have the greatest respect for people who are struggling with addiction or other issues and doing everything that they can to get back on their feet and conquer that, so the fact that there is a rescue that they can specifically go to is awesome. Finally, as I mentioned, there were a lot of other rescues. I certainly visited all of them, respect all of them, interacted with a lot of the pets. The one souvenir I got this t-shirt. It was from the Cat Care Society. Just a little logo right there. And it honestly stood out to me, like eye-catching. So that's why I got it. The money that I spent on it, which was I believe $20, went to the rescue. So it just, you know, altogether, this event, if I had to sum it up, it put me in a good mood. I love cats. I love being surrounded by cats. It was cool to see other people that are as into cats. It got me pumped to go back next year, and it is returning next year. And honestly, like, I think they accomplished their mission, like, to remind people that the world can be a beautiful and magical and fun place. I mean, it's amazing to be able to spend your day surrounded by cool stuff and just leave in a happy mood. And, you know, some of the money that I spent, and it wasn't a ton, tickets, by the way, were $20 to get in the door, goes to good causes. So it's like win, 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 win. So to help spread joy, and because I want to welcome people to the channel that I just recently started, which is really going to talk like any and all thing cats with like a little bit of sprinkling of my life, both in my cat-related positions and otherwise, I want to give away a cat-themed surprise. So what I'm going to do is, all you need to do is comment below something after watching this video. Just make a comment below and make sure you're subscribed to the channel. And what I'm going to do is, let's pick a day. Let's say Christmas Day. Literally Christmas Day, December 25th. I am going to pick a winner, and I'm going to message you directly in the comments so everyone's gonna see who it is, and then we'll communicate from there, probably via email. And I am going to send you a cat-themed, let's just say $20 to spend on Amazon to start with. So you can buy something cat-themed for yourself. I don't know, sounds fun to me. So for a chance to win that, go ahead and comment below. Thank you so much for tuning into my video, and before you go, I want to introduce you guys to Katniss. Now, the easiest way to do this, because she is not sleeping on her chair back there or on my bed at the moment, is bribery. And her favorite treat, all cats are different, but she really likes these squeeze-up treats. They're like her crack, honestly. So, all I have to do typically is, Katniss, do you want a treat? Do you want a treat? Here you are. Come here. Hi, baby. So this is Katniss, and little Miss Katniss, as I mentioned, was found at 4 weeks old. She was born to a feral colony in North Denver, which is like, well, it's about an hour from my house. She was born to a feral colony about, I told you she likes them. And my friend who lives up there found her, and it's a longer story how he got her, but essentially she was left behind when her mom had the kittens out, went running out of fear, and she couldn't jump up on a stump to follow her family, and so she was like trying to jump up, kept falling back, crying, and he picked her up, scooped her up, called me. He knew I was mourning because I had just lost the cat that I'd mentioned about aggression issues, and he asked me if I wanted Katniss. And that's a story for another time, but I'm so glad that I said yes, because at that time I was in mourning, and it was honestly tough. So she has become my baby. I love her to death. You will see her in a lot of these videos, and you can follow her on Instagram, as I said before. And we hope you guys have a perfect day. Katniss, say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Oh, Katniss, say hi. Say hi. Say hi.